Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another ranking video. This is Slay the Spire, man. Ranking all 75 Ironclad cards. This is gonna be a mess, to be honest with you. I don't even know how to describe how this is going to go. But we're gonna do it. It's gonna take a while, and hopefully you enjoy and you learn a little bit about Slay the Spire cards, or you're just here to roast me when I give you opinions that are bad about Slay the Spire cards. Here's the deal: we're gonna do it in order. I know they are very small, okay, and you cannot read what they do. I'm gonna edit this video and I'm gonna throw up over here on the right side. You can't see it, but like right where the thingy disappears, I'm gonna flash the card up right there. So that you can see it in a little bit more detail. Hopefully that makes things easier to see. We'll see, right? Maybe it won't. I don't know. We're just gonna do it, right? We're just gonna do it. So, alphabetical, right? Anger. Anger is a B tier card, easily. It's a free strike, pretty much. When you word it like that, you kind of want to put it in C tier. But Anger's okay. Upgrades to an 8 damage card, I believe. I'm going to put it in C tier. When you word it like that, like, I like Anger as a card. And I think that it holds value on a run. But I don't think that... I'm not sure. Like, you're not going to build around Anger. You're not going to get super hyped up to see it, I don't think. I think that it kind of just fits well in a lot of decks. Works well with a card draw. There's a good amount of card draw as the Ironclad. So I think that is fine, right? It's also a good exhaust target in an Ironclad build. But we'll put it in C tier. If I have to move it later, I'll move it later. Armaments. This is an A tier card, and an A tier card that I don't take a lot, for that matter. I think that Armaments is really good. I already have to fix my my card thing over here. I'm gonna have to like adjust stuff this entire time, but that's okay. Armaments is awesome, but it's primarily awesome when it's upgraded, which might bump it down a little bit in the future. But when it's upgraded, it upgrades all the cards in your hand for the rest of combat. That's stupid good, dude. I mean, it basically takes out having to smith, because you can just upgrade all of your cards with Armaments. I think it's a great card. I don't take it very often, but I still think it's great. Barricade. It's our first gold card, right? It's tough because I think that gold cards would normally be pretty high up there on the list. But I do think that Barricade is a high B tier. Primarily because it's a 3-cost card, and that's tough, right? That's tough because it basically requires you to have to get an energy relic in order to make that playable often. Are there awesome synergies with Barricade? Absolutely, dude. I mean, you can build a Barricade deck. It is a card to build around, and it's gonna sit in high B, low A territory. But there are cards that are better than it, which is why I think that B tier is acceptable for it. Bash. Bash is D tier, and frankly, if Strike and Base Defend are in these set of cards, which they are, we could just go ahead and do this now, and they're in that order, right? Those are the worst of the worst, the creme de la not creme, if we're gonna say things like that. Those 3 cards suck. They're your base cards. They're literally meant to be upgraded and gotten rid of in your deck, so I feel good putting them right there for now. Battle Trance. Draw 3 cards, can't draw any more cards this turn, but it's a free card, dude. It's a 0-cost banger. Battle Trance is an easy A for me. There are a lot of times where just having extra card draw in your Slay the Spire runs is good. Battle Trance is no exception to that rule, and I think that it genuinely deserves an A for that reason. If you're worried about the can't draw any more cards this turn type thing, well, I'm going to teach you one thing. Only put 1 Battle Trance in your deck, and then you won't get burned by that often. But also just play your other cards that do draw before you do Battle Trance, right? And if you draw cards that draw cards with Battle Trance, then you don't play them, or you bite the bullet and you don't use the draw from them if it's something like a Pommel Strike or something like that. I still think this card is great and can fit into a lot of decks. Berzerk. Gain 3 vulnerable, start of your turn, gain energy. I think Berzerk is a C tier card. There are definitely times where it can be totally fine. If you have a start with a artifact, you know, that becomes an awesome card because you can just basically play it for free and gain energy for the rest of your life, right? It's fantastic. But in a build normally with the Ironclad where you might be a little bit weaker, you don't want to, you know, you're attack heavy, not defense heavy, and you don't want to be vulnerable and taking more damage. I don't think Berzerk is that good. Upgraded, it does get better. It goes down to 2 vulnerable instead of 3. But I don't know, man. I'm just iffy on Berzerk. I think it's a C tier. I'd probably put it below Anger as well, just for kicks and giggles. Blood for Blood. Every time you lose HP, the card lowers its energy, right? This is a high D tier card. Sure, there are absolutely synergies. Combust is one that is very good with Blood for Blood. Hemokinesis, another one, very good with Blood for Blood. But as a whole, is not that great, right? It's only an 18 damage card. You can get a lot more value out of cards later on for... You know, we'll get to some that you can get a lot more value than 18 damage for way cheaper than 4 energy, or hurting yourself to get down that energy cost. So I think it's high D tier. Are there situational things for all Slay the Spire cards? Yeah, of course. That's kind of the beauty of the game. There's no cards that are pure trash in this game, so you have to kind of make do, and you have to figure out what cards fit where. I just think that Blood for Blood builds are going to be few and far between when you're doing your runs. Bloodletting, lose 3 HP, gain energy. This is also a C tier card for me. I'm going to put it slightly above... Nah, I'm going to put it slightly below Berzerk. I think it's similar to Berzerk in the fact that you're hurting yourself to gain energy, more or less. It can be okay, right? If you have a lot of HP and you can feel good about gaining energy from health, then sure. But on most runs and on higher level Ascension, I'm not sure that's going to be overly valuable for you. Bludgeon, 32 damage for a 3-cost card. It's a B, okay? And I know that the upgrade makes it substantially better, but I think it's a high B. And I'm going to adjust that as such, so Barricade is a little bit lower than it. It could also be low A, right? Bludgeon is fine, dude. I mean, you get a Bludgeon early. This wipes the majority of the first floor, but the card becomes way less playable as you move on in your game. So I struggle to put it super high. You know what? I'm gonna put Barricade in front of it. I'm gonna flip these two like a billion times. I think Bludgeon's good, but I think Barricade is probably a little bit better. If you're worried about energy, then I'll probably put Barricade a little bit higher than Bludgeon. But it's kind of, they're both pretty okay, man. So Body Slam. This is a high B card, which is rare for a common, right? I'd even put it in the A, in low A. Deal damage equal to your block. Basically the one card that is a requirement in a Barricade deck. But upgraded, it becomes a 0 cost. A lot of the time, that's going to be, you know, 10, 15 damage when you draw this card if you have it as a 0 cost. Doesn't cost you anything to do 10 to 15 damage to an enemy as long as you're, you know, putting up an appropriate amount of block on your run, which you normally are going to. Body Slam's pretty good, dude. It's pretty good. I'll struggle to not put it in A tier right now, but it's close. It's really close. Brutality, start of your turn. Lose 1 HP, draw a card. I think that this is probably also C tier, but a little bit, I'd even put it at the highest C tier. Builds where you hurt yourself are always a little bit scary in this game, right? I've never really enjoyed making those kinds of builds, but there's obviously a lot of synergies with doing that kind of build, and a ton of... a bunch of cards and relics that benefit from you taking damage, right? Being able to draw an extra card as the Ironclad can be awesome, you know, especially when you have an Anger deck or something like that where you have these 0 cost cards that you just want to draw more of. It's pretty good, right, is pretty good. So I'm going to put it high C just because I don't think that it's good enough to be in B. Burning Pact. Exhaust 1 card to draw 2 cards. This is a low B. Definitely lower than these 3, but probably higher than some other ones. Exhausting cards as the Ironclad, there's a lot of synergies there. Reckless Charge puts dazes into your draw pile. Power Through puts wounds into your hand. Exhausting cards, almost always going to be useful. Exhaust curses, etc., etc. I wish that the default draw was 3 cards on it. I think that this card would be phenomenal then. A tier status, possibly. But a exhaust 1 card, draw 2 cards, that's just a great card, right? And great cards, not amazing cards, go in B. And that's kind of how I'm going to do that. Carnage. Carnage is such a tough one, dude, because it's one of those cards where it will carry you early on a run. But is it actually a good card? And the answer is, it's tough. I think it's low A just because it is a good 2-cost, high damage card. When upgraded, I mean, that's a 28 damage card. That's a lot of damage that it will put out. But it's going to become way less playable as you progress into the floors of the Spire. At the beginning of the game, it's an awesome card. It loses its value a little bit as time goes on. Would I rather have Bludgeoned or Carnage? I would rather have Carnage. But that said, the upgrade to Bludgeon is obviously very good, whereas the upgrade to Carnage is a little bit less good than the upgrade to Bludgeon. So it's tough. You know, they're close, and you're going to see that they're going to stay pretty close as we add more cards here. But they're both pretty okay in my eyes. Clash. Clash is a bad card, okay? It's lower D tier. And you get lulled into this sense that Clash is going to actually be good. Clash can only be played if every card in your hand is an attack, and then it deals a bunch of damage. You'd think that'd be good, right? But as you play more and more Slay the Spire, you're going to find that more and more trash is thrown into your deck. Curses, wounds, burns, things like that. And then you're going to also be balancing having a bunch of skills in your deck as well. Defends and other skill-based cards. Clash becomes very difficult to play, and it becomes a kind of dead card in your deck in a lot of fights in the game. And that just, it is not good enough to merit putting it much higher than a D tier card. Very rarely do I take it, because very rarely does it fit into any decks in this game. Cleave. Deal 8 damage to all enemies. Is probably the number one AoE attack as the Ironclad. And you may, disagree with that. Maybe I'll remember a different one as time goes. Yeah, okay, Whirlwind is definitely a better one, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's put it in low B tier because there are better cards in it. But it's a good AoE attack, 8 damage, upgrades to an 11 damage. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. Clothesline, 12 damage, 2 weak. This is kind of like Bash's older brother, right? And I think that it's low C tier. Weakness is great, right? As is vulnerability, but a 2-cost, only 12 damage card, it's a little bit rough when you can have a 2-cost, Carnage for 28 damage kind of thing. And I know you're getting the weakness as well, but I just think it's probably a lower C tier than other cards. You know what? I'll put it 1 above Bloodletting. You know what? I'm going to put it above Berzerk too, because I think I would rather have Clothesline than both of those. But I don't know. It's a tough one, right? Combust. At the end of your turn, lose 1 HP, deal 5 damage to all enemies. This is a card that I don't like. I don't really know why I don't like this, because it's actually pretty good. And for that, I think I'm going to put it in high C tier. But I think this card is better than I give it credit for. I just don't use it properly a lot of the time, and I tend not to take it on a lot of runs. But I don't know, it's fine, dude. It's an AoE attack that requires you losing HP. But the fact that it does it every turn, it could bite you in the butt a little bit if you don't play that properly. So it's a tough one, but C tier. Corruption. Corruption's a toughie, ain't it? Skills cost 0. Whenever you play them, they exhaust. This is a card that, here, Dead Branch, S tier. There's no synergy in the game better than Corruption Dead Branch, right? But how often are you getting Dead Branch on a run? Not so much, right? So all of a sudden, this card becomes significantly worse. And so bad, I will say, that I do think it is like the lowest of the low C tier. It's tough putting it in D tier when it can be game-breakingly good. Like Blood for Blood Clash, those aren't going to be game-breakingly good. But Corruption can be, and thus it's hard to put it there. But on most runs, Corruption ain't going to do crap for you, dude. You got to have a massive deck to make Corruption work. And a lot of the time, that's just not the brightest play to do in Slay the Spire. So, Dark Embrace. Whenever you exhaust a card, draw a card. It kind of falls into the same camp as Corruption, right? You got this exhaust build. I do think that Dark Embrace is terrible. I'm actually going to put it below Corruption. Could Dark Embrace be really, really good with other characters? Absolutely. A Shiv deck as the Silent, where you have Dark Embrace, is a frighteningly good synergy. But there's just not enough going on with exhaustible cards as the Ironclad to merit a 2-cost power for it. It's just a little yikesy. Dude, it's a little yikesy. Good synergies if you have, a bunch of Havocs and Angers in your deck, right? Because then you're, exhausting cards a bunch, drawing cards to replace those exhausted cards. There are times where Dark Embrace is good, but I struggle, man. I really do struggle with that one. Demon Form. Demon Form's a high A. I don't think it's an S tier card, despite many people thinking that it is. Can it be game winning? Yes. Is it difficult to play as a 3-cost card? Absolutely. And that's what puts it at the threshold between S and A. If the upgrade made it a 2-cost instead of gaining 3 strength per turn, easily bumps to S. But the upgrade not changing the cost keeps it in A tier for me. Still fantastic, but just a little, food for thought. The energy makes it an A tier. Disarm is another A tier card, and I'm going to put it a little bit lower. I'm also going to put it after Carnage, but before Battle Trance. Disarm is an amazing card. This can body a lot of enemies in the game. Enemy loses 2 strength. It upgrades to a -3 strength on an enemy. Think about all the enemies in the game that do multi-hit attacks. The birds on the second floor. 1 disarm on the birds, they basically never touch you, right? Even the first floor boss, the Hexaghost. You do 1 disarm on him, he's going to hit you for way less on your turn. It's a phenomenal card, right? I don't need to talk more about it. Double Tap. Double Tap is also A tier for me, personally. There are a lot of attacks in this game that benefit from being played twice. Whirlwind twice is insane. Rampage twice is insane. You could just do a lot of damage with Double Tap, and it only costing 1 is very, very good, right? Very good. Dropkick. Deal 5 damage. If the enemy is vulnerable, gain energy, draw a card. High B tier. Probably going to put it below Bludgeon and Barricade, but above the rest of them so far. You have vulnerable a lot as the Ironclad, like a disturbing amount. Thus it makes Dropkick essentially a free, 8 damage card because of the vulnerable that is normally on it, and it's free, and you draw a card from it. So it's essentially just doing free damage to an enemy. It kind of fits in a lot of decks. It can be a good glue card if you just need another attack that does some good stuff, but it's not going to carry you. It's low enough damage that it's not going to do anything amazing, so I got to put it B tier. Dual Wield. This is one of those cards where, when you get it to work, you're like, oh, damn, that was good. But it just is rough, right? It's rough. And I think that I put it C tier because I know it's good. Doubling powers and other attacks can be phenomenal. It's just getting that to work without having a super abundance of energy can be difficult. That's why you need things like Berzerk, Bloodletting, Offering, you know, a couple other cards that we'll get to. You need a huge power output in order to make dual wield good. And I'm not sure that you're going to have that often enough in the game for me to merit putting dual wield higher than a C. But I'm also an idiot who hasn't beaten Ascension 20, so don't take anything I say as canon. Entrench. Entrench is so tough, dude. And you're going to actually probably get mad at me when I do this, but I do think Entrench is high D tier, because 99% of the time Entrench is not a good card. Especially at a 2 cost, it's horrible. The card needs to be upgraded to make it even remotely playable. And even still, it is very beneficial in Barricade decks. Other than that, it's not that good, in my opinion. But your opinion may vary, right? I'm also looking at Dark Embrace, and I'm like, man, I would rather have Entrench than Dark Embrace. So I think I'm going to change where that is and put him into D tier. You might be like, why not move Entrench to C tier, Tyler? Because I don't think that Entrench is better than Corruption when given the opportunity to do good stuff, and I definitely don't think it's better than Bloodletting. So it's got to be D tier, I think. This is a yikesy row. I should do like a challenge where I only have cards in D tier. See if I win. Evolve. Evolve is an A tier card, dude. It's so good, and when you finally realize how good Evolve is, then you're going to be like shell-shocked. I'll be honest with you. I can bump Evolve up. I can bump it past Armaments, to be honest with you. I also think I can bump Armaments down. I think Battle Trance... Nah, I'm going to boom it back. Look, it's tough, dude. It's 75 cards that are literally meant to, like, all be good in a game. Ranking them is freakishly difficult, okay? But Evolve is so good. Whenever you draw a status card, draw a card, that means curses, that means wounds, that means burns. Like, literally... Actually, I don't know if it means curses. I don't think it means curses. But wounds, burns, there's so many times where you get those in your deck. Evolve just basically making those irrelevant. Dazes, dude. I mean, this makes the 3 obelisk fight elite on the first floor. Evolve makes them a piece of cake. It's such a good card, and you should realize that very quickly. Exhume. Put a card from your exhaust pile into your hand. Exhume is a higher B tier card, but not higher than Body Slam, in my opinion. Having it be 0 cost helps, because then you can just basically play an exhaustible card twice on the run. But at a 1 cost, it's a little bit rougher, because then you're paying way more to use a card that you already exhausted. Are there good exhaust cards in here? Absolutely, dude. Exhume plus Offering. Offering is an insane card. Exhume Offering is a great duo there. There's a couple other ones that are also very good, but I think it's high B, mid B, I guess. I think it's fine there. Feed. Deal 10 damage. If this kills an enemy, then raise your max HP. Feed is an S tier card, and I think that I'm good having it in S tier. It will probably be the lowest of the S tiers, in my opinion, but I mean, we'll see what the other S tiers end up being. But I love Feed, dude. I mean, it's great to raise your max HP, essentially for free on runs. Kind of simple as that. Feel no pain. Whenever a card is exhausted, gain block. This is one, it falls under the same camp as some of these other cards in this row. Where this row is basically the hi, I'm trying to make a lose HP and exhaust deck work. And those decks struggle sometimes, at least for me. And hey, this is my ranking, so frig off if you disagree. No, don't do that. But like, please tell me what you think I put wrong in this tier. Feel no pain's fine. It's meh, in my opinion. Some great synergies, but not standalone. It's a little bit rough. Fiendfire. Exhaust all cards in your hand. Deal 7 damage for each exhaustible card. This is higher than these two. I'll probably put it above Berzerk in the C tier. Apparently my C tier is just going to be the entire 75 cards in C tier. But Fiendfire is really good in certain runs. Otherwise, you can get in big trouble with Fiendfire. Because if you exhaust a lot of your cards, you're not going to have a lot of cards, and then even Fiendfire is not going to do much for you. So you got to be a little bit cautious when you build a Fiendfire deck. You got to make sure you have a way to create cards, whether that be wounds with, you know, power through or something like that. Then Fiendfire is great, but on its own, it's a little bit of a rough card. Fire Breathing. So this is a card that got an update in the new patch, and this is still the old version of the card, which was at the end of your turn, deal a damage for all attacks that you played. Deal a damage to all enemies for each attack you played. This was the worst card in the game, like literally bottom D tier below Strike. It was horrendous and needed a patch really badly. Now I believe it is every time you draw a status card, then it deals damage to all enemies or something like that. I should actually, I'm going to take the time to look this up. I will edit the video. Okay, here I am on the Slay the Spire wiki. Here's the new Fire Breathing. Whenever you draw a status or curse card, deal 6 damage to all enemies. The upgrade makes this a 0 cost. This is a legitimately insane card now, and very, very strong, okay? It's difficult because, where the hell is it? Where did I put it, dude? Where is Fire Breathing? It's down here. Okay. This is likely an A tier card. I'm gonna put it middle of the road in A tier, but I think that you could make a case for this being way higher. I just haven't used it yet, and it's very difficult for me to judge something that I haven't used yet. But is good, dude. Is good. That's gonna be an insane card. Flame Barrier. This is an S tier card, dude. In my opinion, probably one of the best defends in the entire game. 12 block upgrades to 16 whenever the enemy attacks you. Deal damage back to them. It does attack. It do defend. Oh, what can it do, right? It's a great card. Very, very good. Flex. Flex, man. Flex. Gain 2 strength, end of your turn, lose 2 strength. Upgrades to gain 4 strength, end of your turn, lose 4 strength. This is a card that I have gone back and forth on repeatedly. I find that it can be very, very good, but it also can be very, very bad. I'm going to put it high C, okay, below Brutality. I think that the card has a lot of potential, and in certain decks can be very good. You know, you do a upgraded Flex plus Whirlwind. That's an extra, like, a lot of damage to enemies. If you have yourself an artifact, that's permanent strength that you're getting, you know, combined with Limit Break. Even Flex combined with Limit Break to begin with is free strength that you're going to end up with on your run. I don't know, man. It's one of those where it can be useful, but is it going to clog up your deck a lot of the time, and you're going to draw it instead of cards you want? Yeah. So I have to put it a little bit lower. Ghostly Armor. 1 cost, ethereal, gains 10 block. This is a very good card. High B for me, because you're essentially getting a very, very good defend. I mean, think of Flame Barrier. This is a 2 cost, 12 block. This is a 1 cost, 10 block. That's a really good defend in this game. The ethereal is tough because on turns where you draw it, where you don't need defense, then you still have to play it if you want to continue to use that card in the future. But with that being its only downfall, it's really difficult for me to make that any lower than where it is right here. I could even argue that Ghostly Armor is probably an A tier as well, but I'll leave it there for now. Havoc. Havoc is D tier. Play the top card of your draw pile exhausted. There are times where that is good, but the chaos component of it, being able to, you know, handcraft your deck with exactly what you want, in a lot of ways this requires a relic in order to be good, and that's Frozen Eye, so you can see your draw pile in order. A lot of the other times this is going to exhaust cards you probably don't want it to exhaust. And to have it be a 1 cost too is just rough, man. I think it's just rough. So, has to be D tier for me. It's honestly below Dark Embrace as well. Just not very good. Headbutt. Deal 9 damage, put a card from your discard pile back on top of your drop pile. It's a little bit of a big brain card, right? But it's a low A big brain card for me because there's so many synergies with this, right? You have things like Headbutt Rampage. it's talked about as one of the best synergies kind of in the game in general. There's so many cards that when you have a good card in your deck you want to play a lot of times, you just headbutt it, right? You headbutt it and you keep bringing it back. It's a great card, and being able to do 9 damage off the get-go and also upgrade that to, I believe, 11 damage or 12 damage, that's a good amount for a 1-cost card. Heavy Blade. Deal 14 damage. Strength affects this card 3 times. Definitely a situational card, but a situational card that is pretty good. B tier for sure. 14 damage, 2-cost card. Leaves a bit to be desired, but as soon as you start adding strength, the damage on that card just ramps up. The upgrade on it allows strength to affect the card 5 times. That means that, you know, you have 2 strength. That's an extra 10 damage on the card. All of a sudden, you're doing way more damage with a 2-cost card than before. I just think that it's pretty good, but if you're not doing a strength build, it's definitely one to stay away from. But as the Ironclad, you're going to probably find strength a lot of the time, so pretty good. Hemokinesis, 3 HP to deal a bunch of damage. I think that this is also a good card. However, I definitely underrate the losing HP cards. I'm going to put it above Exhume, below Heavy Blade. You know, the Ironclad being able to heal at the end of the turn allows you to play Hemokinesis twice in a combat and have it not really affect your run as long as you don't get hit any other times. That's a lot of damage. You know, that's 32 damage that comes out of that card in that case. Very good when you think about it like that. HP valuable. Cards that remove HP, tough. So that's kind of my opinion there. Immolate. Oh, dude, Immolate. Immolate is like one of the best cards in the game. 2 costs, deal 21 damage to all enemies, add a burn into your discard pile. That's a burn that can be exhausted with any of the exhaust cards the Ironclad has, which, in case you haven't seen, friggin' lot of them. And that's 21 damage AoE to all enemies. Upgrades to 28 to all enemies, I believe. It's just a disturbing amount of damage coming out of it. You're going to kill a lot of enemies in the room before you even see that burn wrap back around, depending on your deck size. So, definitely an S tier card. Let's go with Impervious next, which, surprise, surprise, I went in alphabetical order like the past 30 cards we've done. Impervious is a tough card. It's a one-time use. It exhausts after using. It's a one-time use, and it gives you 30 block. Upgrades to 40 block. I'm going to be real with you. I actually think this card is C tier. Sure, you might be going, Tyler, it basically saves you once. Sure, it saves you once. Big whoop. Build your deck better, buddy. Make sure that you have cards that can get you 30 block pretty easily. I just don't think it's that good. Does it have a good synergy with Body Slam? Yeah. And Barricade? Absolutely. But is it really that good? I don't think so. So I'm going to put C tier. It's tough for me to put gold cards below C tier, although I do have 4 of them in C tier and 1 in D tier. But that's life, right? That's life. Infernal Blade, add a random attack to your hand, costs 0 this turn. This is one of those cards where it's very, very difficult to rank this, right? Because it's friggin' random, dude. It's a random ass card. I'm gonna put it above Cleave. I'm gonna put it below Cleave. I had to rethink that one at that moment. I'm gonna put it there solely because, and now I gotta fix the dang screen, dude. Oh my, okay, now we big now. It's a little bit rough. Okay, let me zoom you out a little bit. I gotta do what it takes to keep things standard on the screen here. The randomness factor, I'm not a huge fan of in a deck builder, but to make an attack 0 cost, that could be a 0 cost Immolate, dude. A 0 cost Carnage, a 0 cost Heavy Blade. This also upgrades to be a 0, so you could end up having a 0 cost of all those cards, not just a 1 cost. So it's pretty good, but is it higher than Cleave? Yeah, I don't think so. Inflame, gain 2 strength. Good power. I think that it's probably going to be like 1 above Infernal Blade, just because there's other good ways to get strength, right? Demon form obviously is significantly better than 1 in flame, but I think it's still a good power, and I will take it on a lot of runs. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's getting hard, right? It's getting hard. There's some tough cards in this list. Intimidate. Apply 1 weak to all enemies, and then an exhaust, and it's a 0 cost. I don't think this card is very good in the slightest. I think it's a C tier for me. But, applying weakness to all enemies is fine, dude. But it's another card. It's only going to save you really once. I don't know why it exhausts, to be honest. If it didn't exhaust, I think this card would be significantly better. But it exhausting is just, it's a little strange to me. There's so many other cards that do weakness. Like, I will take Neutralize over Intimidate a billion times over, right? And I know that it's 1 weak to all enemies, but how often are you going to have more than, like, 2 enemies on the screen? I just think Intimidate is not that good. Iron Wave, deal 5 block, or gain 5 block, deal 5 damage. Is one of those cards where, like, people love Iron Wave. They think that this is, like, one of the best cards in the game. And if you have strength and you have dex, I agree with you. Iron Wave can be very, very good. But at its core, is it that good? And the answer is not. And you're going to be mad at me when I put it there. But I don't think that is that good. Sue me, right? Is not that good. It's a kind of just... It's a little bit of a jack of all trades, but is it really, though? It's only 5 block and 5 damage. I just don't think it's that good. But you'll probably highly disagree with me on that, and that's part of the fun of making these tiers. Juggernaut. Whenever you gain block, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. This can be an insane card. It can be very good. It is not as good as some of these other ones. I'll put it above Heavy Blade, below Body Slam. 2 cost to play it, not great. Upgrades to, I believe, 7 damage to a random enemy. It can be good AoE. You're going to put up a lot of block on your turn, but getting that power out is difficult. And are you going to get a ton of benefit out of it? You're going to get some, but not enough for me to be super willing to just throw Juggernaut into every deck that I build. Limit Break, double your strength. This is, it's tough, right? This is an S tier card. I'm actually going to put it below Feed, just because if you don't have strength on your run, then it's F tier, because it's literally useless. But this is assuming that you're only going to take it if you have strength. Even with Flex, right? You basically allow yourself to get the strength from Flex permanently for 1 energy. You look at Inflame, right? You're ranking Inflame high in B tier to gain 2 strength. But you upgrade Flex, is now a 4 strength. You got a Limit Break, you're getting 4 strength out of these 2 cards instead of the 2 strength from Inflame. That's why Limit Break is good. Not to mention that you combine it with something like Demon Form, combine it with, other strength gain on your run. All of a sudden, this card, which upgrades to not exhaust, which is a vital upgrade for it, you could be stacking strength really quickly and then just murder everything. So that's why you got to put it in S tier. I like that card a lot. It's very good. Metallicize. At the end of your turn, gain 3 block. This is also an A tier card. I think it's lower than Headbutt, though. You don't know how good it is to have permanent block on your run. It's just... if you like Thread and Needle as a relic to get that plated armor, this is plated armor, dude. But it's plated armor that doesn't go away. And that's stupid good, right? That's stupid good. So you got to rank that a little bit higher than the others. Offering. Dude, don't shoot the messenger. Offering is maybe the best card as the Ironclad. Lose 6 HP that you gain back because you're the Ironclad. Gain 2 energy, draw 3 cards. It's crazy. It's just crazy, right? I don't need to explain why that's so good. Gaining extra energy, drawing extra cards. The 6 HP don't mean crap if you're murdering the room immediately, It's just a good card. So take it. Perfected Strike. It's another D tier card. Sure, there are builds where you can build a strike build, and Perfected Strike ends up being good. Are you going to make those decks work in higher level Ascension? They are hard to make work. I don't think Perfected Strike is that good. It requires you to keep your base strikes in your deck most of the time, which is not going to be very beneficial for you. So it's low in my eyes. Pommel Strike. Now, Pommel Strike, that's a card that I can get behind, dude. Pommel Strike is a high A tier card, and you can shoot the messenger when I say it. 9 damage, draw a card. Upgrades to 10 damage, draw 2 cards. That is a lot of card draw for a good attack. I think that that's maybe a little bit high. Let's put it down there, but I still think it's A tier. Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy card. I think it's a very, very good attack that fits in almost every deck. Power Through. Add 2 wounds, gain 15 block. This is like the highest of C tier or low B tier items. I'll probably put it low B tier. Let's do low B tier above Cleave and Inflame and Infernal Blade. 15 block for 1 cost is nothing to shake a stick at, dude. That is a insanely good card to snag here. I also have to get us back into reality here. We're like running out of space in the thing, so I gotta make more space in the video. But no, it's good, man. It's good. The 2 wounds you just exhaust with other exhaust synergies of the Ironclad, and you're getting a ton of block out of it. Pummel. Pummel is good, right? But it's not as good as you think. And I think that it's low B tier for that reason. I'd probably put it below, like as low as any of these right now. Deal 2 damage 4 times. Obviously, strength makes this card insane. You combine it with demon form, you win, right? It's going to one-shot a lot of bosses. But when you have a card that relies solely on a synergy with another card, I just don't think that that should be high in the tier list, right? So Pummel is low B with the expectation that you could have runs that you completely annihilate with it. But that's life. Rage. This is a higher B tier card. Whenever you play an attack, gain some block. I think that is really good with things like Anger, right? 0 cost attacks, Rage becomes pretty good. Even 1 cost attacks, it becomes pretty good, especially when you upgrade it and make it where each attack gives you 5 block. You're now playing 3 attacks and you're getting 15 block from them, right? That's pretty good on a lot of runs, but I don't think, unless you could get it, where you're getting 7-8 block from it per attack, I don't think that that is any higher than a mid B tier. So we put it there. Rampage. Deal 8 damage, increase this card's damage by 5 this combat. Look, I love this card. I think that Rampage is super high B tier. I think it's a very fun card. Combined with Headbutt, you can have some really, really enjoyable runs with it. Thin decks with Rampage is significantly better than heavy decks, big decks with Rampage. Watching the damage on this card stack up where you're doing, 40 damage on a 1-cost card is super enjoyable. But is it actually that good? Because it requires a little bit of work to get it there. I don't know. So high B tier. Reaper. Deal 4 damage to all enemies. Heal that HP back. This is also a S tier card. Probably above Feed and Limit Break for me. Healing as the Ironclad with all of the various cards that lose HP is very strong. And having the stack with Strength to make it a legitimately good AoE attack. Think of it like this, okay? You get 4 strength, right? So that's a limit break upgraded flex, okay? You get 4 strength. This card is a 2-cost Cleave, except Cleave doesn't give you HP back for all of what you hit. So that's an insane amount of damage and also heal, and thus a very good card. Reckless Charge. Deal 7 damage added days to your draw pile. I think this card is bad unless you are in a good, exhaust synergy scenario. You can see how a Feel No Pain, Reckless Charge synergy could work. There's a lot of, exhaust synergies that could work with it. But I think this card is pretty bad. So low C for the potential of a lot of exhaust synergies, but not much higher than that. Rupture. Every time you lose HP from a card, gain 1 strength. This is a good power, okay? It's a good power. I'm going to put it above Hemo, even though Hemo ends up being a very good card to use with Rupture. This can gain you strength pretty easily. If you have something like a, Combust. Combust with Rupture gives you a strength. You got 4 strength immediately after 4 turns, right? That's pretty good. Bloodletting is another one that works well with it. There's a bunch of synergies there. I just think that gaining strength, that's a good upgrade on your run. Strength is going to make you way better in that combat. And to have a card that basically allows you to use your other cards that are bad and just make them better, that's a really good card in my eyes. Searing Blow. Deal 12 damage. It can be upgraded at any number of times. This is a trap card, right? You think, oh, I'm just going to go and smith Searing Blow a million times. It's not going to benefit your run to waste your smiths on Searing Blow. I hate to say it. I really do, because I think that Searing Blow is a unique card idea, right? Can you make a run where Searing Blow ends up being like a 60 damage card? Absolutely. And will that deck win? There's a good chance it will, right? But do I think that that is a good strategy as soon as you see Searing Blow in a run? No. And if you're not going to do that, there's no point in taking a 12 damage 2-cost card. There's just better cards in the game. So, low C for me. Second Wind, exhaust all non-attack cards in your hand, gain 5 block for each card exhausted. Falls under the same tier as some of these other ones. Is low C for me. Requires you to have a pretty big status curse type deck, which can be scary to run on upper level Ascension. So I think low C, I think Iron Wave is better than it, but I struggle to put it much higher than where it is or much lower than where it is. I'd rather have Second Wind than Searing Blow on most of my runs, so I'll stick with it right there. Seeing Red, gain 2 energy. It's a free card, right? But is it really that good? I don't know. It's fine. I think Seeing Red is one of those cards you can throw it in any deck and it will work, which is kind of what the B tier kind of tells you. These cards are pretty good as long as you got like one other synergy, or high B tier is they stand alone on their deck. Low B tier is, yeah, if you get it to work, they'll be pretty good. Seeing Red can always be played, right? It's a 1 cost, gives you an energy back, so it's kind of, it is what it is. The upgrade on it is way better, but it's fine. Sentinel, gain 5 block. If this card is exhausted, gain 2 energy. Congrats, you're literally the worst card as the Ironclad besides the base cards. In fact, I'd even maybe put Bash above you, because at least Bash upgraded has value. This is just a terrible card. You add it as an exhaust target, and it's a one-time exhaust target use. It's just not that good, and I have no interest in that being a thing. So, no thank you. Sever Soul. So you'd think it'd be similar to like a Searing Blow for me, where this is a card that is a 2 cost, does some exhaust. But no, I think that this is higher. Because it at least fits in. I'm going to put it low B tier. It at least fits in and serves a purpose to remove status and curse and things like that. But the fact that it actually deals a significant amount of damage, I think that has way more value as a card. So we'll put it on B tier, right? It boils down to, would you rather have the damage or would you rather have the block, right? Like these 2 cards are pretty similar, Second Wind and Sever Soul. And I think that, the damage on most runs is going to be a little bit better than the block. So I'm going to put it a little bit higher. This much higher, that's tough, but I'm going to do it. Shockwave. Apply 3 weak and vulnerable to all enemies. And then it exhausts. It's a good card. It's difficult to play, right? It's difficult to play. I'll probably put it high C just for the reason that 2 cost is tough on it. But can it be, ridiculously good on a run? Absolutely. So, I'll I'll kind of stick with that. Shrug It Off. Here's going to be my big brain ranking of the day, right? Shrug It Off is an S tier card, and pretty much every deck could stand to have it. Upgrades to an 11 block, draw 1 card. Shrug is always good. Like it's just always good. Remove a defend, add a shrug. Your life is fantastic, right? Block and card draw is just very good as the Ironclad. So spot weakness. If the enemy intends to attack, gain 3 strength. It's another really good card. I'd probably argue that it is A tier. I'll go a little bit below double tap. I think Carnage can also afford to drop a little bit now that I'm relooking at this. Spot weakness is really good, dude. 1 cost to gain 3 strength permanently is very strong. So I'm going to put it up there. Sword Boomerang. I'm coming around that this is one of the best attacks in the game. I'm going to low A tier it. That's a 9 damage card to start. Any strength just continues to basically multiply your damage. So I think that card is insanely good. But a lot of people will look at it and go, it's not that good. I'm here to tell you, it's better than you think. Thunderclap. 4 damage, apply 1 vulnerable to all enemies. What do you like more, right? Do you like Cleave more or do you like Thunderclap more? I think I like Cleave more. Thus, I'm going to put Thunderclap a little lower. I think that Inflame, Infernal Blade, Pummel are better, but it's close. True Grit. Gain 7 block, exhaust a random card in your hand. The upgrade to it allows you to choose the card that you exhaust. I think that this is also a B tier card. Look, B tier is huge because it's tough to put things in A tier, and C tier sounds too bad. So I put a lot of cards in B tier. If you can choose what card to exhaust without upgrading, A tier, right? You know, as soon as you upgrade it, this card jumps to A tier. Exhausting a random card, it can be tough, right? Thus, I think, you know, maybe above Thunderclap works for True Grit. But upgraded, I think it's maybe an easy A tier, right? Twin Strike, 5 damage twice to an enemy. I think is a good one to put into high C tier. Is it a good damage target early on a run? Sure, it's 10 damage, right? That's pretty good. Scales with strength. For that reason, I'm going to bump it a little higher. Because I look at something like a Pommel that I have in A tier, and I'm like, Twin Strike is doing more damage than a base Pommel. Also doing more damage than a Sword Boomerang in its current state. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, Twin Strike is fine. I'm maybe super underrating it, but I'm going to stick with it where it is. Uppercut. 13 damage, apply weak and vulnerable. It's a good attack. I'd probably put it a little bit above Heavy Blade, and then I'm going to bump Rupture above both of them. It's tough because once you rank things, it's like, this card is definitely better than this one, so it becomes difficult. Uppercut's good to apply the weak and vulnerable. The upgrade on it to do 2 weak and vulnerable is much better for the card. Fits in a lot of decks as a 2 cost. I think it's good. Warcry. Draw a card, put a card from your hand onto the top of your draw pile. It's a big brain card, and I don't comprehend it. So I put it in D tier because very rarely do I ever take it. It's basically a 0 cost draw that you then save that card for your next turn. I'm not sure when you'd want to do that. I'm sure there are good times to, but I have not come up with the good ones yet. So thus, it's a D tier. Whirlwind. It's an S tier card. Whirlwind can carry a run. You can build around it. Combine it with strength. It's fantastic, right? I'm going to put it at the lowest, though. I'm telling you, Shrug is that good. But Whirlwind is still very good. Especially upgraded. This 8 damage to all enemies, X times. It's also the only X card as the Ironclad. Did not know that. I mean, I guess I did, but didn't realize. It's good, though. S tier. Wild Strike. Last card as the Ironclad here. Sure. Deal 12 damage, shuffle a wound into your draw pile. I'm not putting it in bottom C tier. I think that this is a good attack. Obviously very good if you have exhaust synergies. For that reason, Give me it low B tier yet again, because your boy just puts things in low B tier forever and ever and ever. But that's gonna do it, right? That's gonna do it. This is my tier list. If you don't like it, then tell me otherwise, right? Tell me otherwise. I'll get the big black box off the screen. I still think it's good though. I think this tier list is good. And if you don't agree with me, then make your own damn tier list. Link will be in the description. This is all 75 cards for the Ironclad. Tell me where I went wrong. Thanks so much for watching. Maybe I'll do the Silent, Defect, and Watcher next. Although I have not nearly played enough Watcher to merit ranking the cards. But Silent and Defect, I almost certainly could. So thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. You have a good one. Goodbye.